When the whole world was watching Tesla and BYD battle for electric car dominance, no one expected a quiet thunderclap from India. Out of nowhere, a local company unveiled an EV priced under $10,000, and overnight, the global conversation changed. Was this a bold stunt, or the beginning of a revolution that could flip the entire EV industry on its head? Because what Tata Motors just pulled off isn't a small experiment, it's a direct challenge to every giant that thought affordable EVs were their monopoly. For years, the global electric vehicle race felt like a two-horse sprint. On one side stood Tesla, sleek, loud, and confident, redefining luxury mobility. On the other, China's BYD, efficient, aggressive, and backed by a government determined to dominate the EV world. The headlines, the debates, even the market projections revolved around these two giants. No one was looking toward India. To most analysts, India's EV ambitions were nothing more than wishful thinking: poor charging networks, low consumer confidence, and a population that prioritized price over innovation. Yet while the spotlight stayed on California and Shenzhen, something was quietly taking shape in Pune and Gujarat. An ecosystem of local engineers, suppliers, and designers working on one daring idea: an electric car so affordable that even a middle-class family could own one. It wasn't about creating another premium vehicle for the elite, it was about rewriting who gets to join the electric future. By 2023, the mood began to shift. The government pushed forward with FAME II incentives, new startups entered the scene, and Indian consumers started believing that an EV didn't have to be a luxury toy. Still, no one imagined what came next. When Tata Motors finally stepped forward with its $9,600 Tiago EV, the announcement didn't just make headlines, it shook boardrooms across the world. For the first time, the idea of a truly mass-market electric car wasn't coming from Silicon Valley or Shanghai, but from India. And that's where the story gets even more interesting, because the real question isn't how Tata built an affordable EV, but why they dared to try when everyone else said it couldn't be done. To understand why Tata's $10,000 electric car made such a massive impact, we have to look at how India's EV market quietly transformed from a slow crawl into one of the fastest growing in the world. Just a few years ago, electric vehicles in India were treated like science projects: fascinating, but impractical. The prices were high, charging points were rare, and most people believed EVs couldn't handle India's roads or weather. But 2023 changed everything. That year became the turning point, the moment India's EV dream turned into a nationwide movement. The government rolled out stronger incentives under its FAME II program, encouraging both buyers and manufacturers. Startups and big brands alike began investing heavily in electric mobility. What started as cautious curiosity became a full-blown market shift. More than 1.5 million electric vehicles were sold in India that year alone, and not just scooters or e-rickshaws. For the first time, electric cars began capturing serious attention. Companies like Tata Motors stepped forward with models such as the Nexon EV and Tiago EV, offering prices that felt reachable for middle-class families. That single move changed perception. EVs were no longer distant dreams, they became real options. Behind this change was something deeper than policy or technology: trust. Indian consumers trust brands that understand their ground realities: pothole-filled roads, humid weather, tight budgets. Tata had that connection. They didn't build for luxury, they built for daily life. And that authenticity struck a chord. By the end of 2023, India's EV market had crossed the $3 billion mark and was projected to reach over $100 billion by 2030. Suddenly, global automakers who once overlooked India were now scrambling to get a piece of the action. But what truly stunned everyone was what came next, because Tata Motors didn't just follow the wave. They created their own storm. When Tata Motors announced the Tiago EV, most people didn't believe the price tag was real. An electric car for under $10,000? It sounded like a marketing trick. But the moment the car rolled onto showroom floors, the disbelief turned into curiosity. How did Tata manage to pull off what even Tesla and BYD couldn't? The secret was strategy. Tata didn't try to copy the global EV giants. They built a completely different playbook. Instead of chasing premium performance or fancy autopilot systems, Tata focused on value engineering, creating a car that offered exactly what Indian families needed, nothing more and nothing less. Every decision revolved around affordability without compromise on reliability. The Tiago EV was built almost entirely in India, using local supply chains and Tata's own subsidiaries for key components. This cut import costs dramatically. The company designed its own electric drivetrain and battery management systems, sourcing most materials through domestic vendors. Even the charging ecosystem was being developed hand-in-hand with Tata Power, ensuring customers wouldn't be left searching for stations. And then came the government's push. Under India's FAME II scheme, short for Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of Hybrid and Electric Vehicles, Tata received major production incentives, which reduced the final retail cost per unit. It was the perfect combination of innovation and timing, government support, local manufacturing, and a company brave enough to think small in a world obsessed with thinking big. On the performance side, the Tiago EV came in two battery pack options, 19.2 kWh and 24 kWh. Depending on the variant, it could travel up to 315 kilometers on a single charge, more than enough for daily city commutes. Its motor produced 55 kilowatts of power, letting it go from 0 to 60 in just about 6 seconds. And for Indian conditions, it came prepared, with an IP67 rated waterproof battery, regenerative braking that recycles energy, and Tata's exclusive Ziptron powertrain, built specifically for the country's climate and terrain. In short, Tata didn't build the cheapest EV by cutting corners, they did it by cutting inefficiency. And that's what made the Tiago EV more than just another model launch. It became a symbol of smart engineering, proof that innovation isn't only about power or luxury, but about purpose. But the real twist came next, because while Tata celebrated its success at home, global carmakers suddenly realized that this humble Indian hatchback had just redrawn the entire EV playbook. The global EV market has always been defined by power, performance, and price, in that order. Tesla's Model 3 starts around $40,000. BYD's Dolphin and Seagull, often called the affordable EVs of China, still sit between $12,000 and $15,000, and that's within China's domestic market. So when India's Tata Motors announced a fully electric hatchback at $9,600, it wasn't just a new car launch. It was a wake-up call. Automotive journalists called it impossible. Analysts called it unsustainable. But within weeks, pre-orders were flooding in. It turned out Tata wasn't selling a dream, they were selling proof. Proof that an EV could be efficient, reliable, and still belong to the middle class. What made the world pause wasn't just the price, it was the philosophy behind it. While Tesla and BYD were building smarter cars, Tata was building a smarter system. They understood something the global players often overlooked. The next billion EV buyers aren't chasing autopilot or massive batteries, they're chasing accessibility. The Tiago EV didn't need to fly on highways, it just needed to fit daily lives, commutes, markets, school runs, city chaos. And it did that perfectly. In one stroke, Tata flipped the EV narrative. For years, the question was how advanced can we make EVs? But now, it became how affordable can we make them? That shift forced the industry to confront a reality it had ignored. Innovation isn't innovation if it's out of reach for most people. Behind closed doors, automakers started asking the uncomfortable questions. If India can make an EV at $10,000, why can't we? What are we overpaying for? Why do we still treat electric mobility as a luxury segment when the real growth lies in affordability? Tata had done what even Elon Musk had only promised, delivered an EV for the masses. And as this message spread across global markets, from Southeast Asia to Africa, it became clear. The revolution wasn't happening in California or Shanghai anymore. It had quietly shifted to India. But what truly made the Tiago EV a turning point wasn't just its global buzz, it was the foundation that made it possible, India's growing power in manufacturing. What made Tata's $10,000 EV possible wasn't magic, it was local mastery. While other automakers chased cheap labor across continents, Tata went the opposite way, they built everything at home. From the body panels to the battery pack, almost every major component came from Indian suppliers. This wasn't just patriotism, it was economics. By keeping the entire ecosystem within India's borders, Tata slashed transportation, tariffs, and dependency costs that crush most foreign EV startups. And it wasn't just parts. India's government had already been paving the road for this shift. Under the FAME 2 initiative, faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles, local production wasn't just encouraged, it was rewarded. Companies that built and sourced locally received tax benefits, easier financing, and even infrastructure support. That's why when Tesla kept delaying its India entry due to high import taxes, Tata was quietly gaining an edge, not with fancy marketing, but with roots in the soil. Every rupee spent on Indian labor, material, and assembly created a self-sustaining loop. It meant the money stayed inside the ecosystem, powering the very market Tata was selling to. Even the batteries, the most expensive part of an EV, were partly localized. Tata worked with Indian cell packers and regional battery startups to reduce reliance on expensive imports. They didn't have Tesla's gigafactories, but they had something more flexible, a cluster model of smaller, decentralized facilities that could scale without the billion-dollar overhead. And here's the wild part, this approach didn't just save money. It created resilience. When the global supply chain crisis hit after 2020, With chip shortages and shipping delays hammering every carmaker from Detroit to Shanghai, Tata's lines kept moving. They didn't need a global network to survive. Their network was the local economy. This was more than a manufacturing win, it was a strategic blueprint for how developing nations could leapfrog into the EV race. By focusing on self-sufficiency, India showed that the future of electric mobility doesn't need to be imported, it can be built right where it's needed most. But what came next took everyone by surprise, because Tata's local success started sparking something far bigger than just car sales. It began reshaping how the world saw India's role in the EV revolution. Once Tata proved it could make an EV for under $10,000, the world had to take notice. Suddenly, India wasn't just a consumer of electric vehicles, it became a potential powerhouse for EV production. Global automakers, long used to dominating emerging markets, now had to rethink their strategies. Tesla, BYD, Hyundai, all were watching closely, trying to figure out how a single hatchback could disrupt decades of planning. The key wasn't just price. It was Tata's understanding of the local market, a car designed for India, by India, with the middle-class buyer in mind. Small, efficient, durable, and easy to maintain, the Tiago EV matched the country's needs perfectly. By contrast, foreign EVs often struggled with cost, import duties, and local servicing. Tata's homegrown approach gave it both a price and trust advantage, and trust is a currency that global brands can't buy overnight. The ripple effects are already visible. With the Tiago EV gaining traction, charging infrastructure is expanding rapidly. Tata Power and other companies are racing to set up stations in smaller towns, making EV ownership practical for millions. Investment in local supply chains has surged, creating a self-reinforcing cycle. More cars sold, more infrastructure built, more adoption. Even beyond India, emerging markets are taking notice. Countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America face similar challenges: a growing middle class, limited infrastructure, and high fuel prices. For these regions, Tata's model is a blueprint, an affordable, reliable EV built locally to serve local needs. The Tiago EV isn't just a domestic hit, it's a potential export star, demonstrating that innovation isn't always about premium tech, but about smart design and accessibility. The world is starting to ask, could India become the next hub for affordable EVs? Could Tata, a company once seen as a local player, show the way for global mobility solutions? If current trends continue, the answer is increasingly clear. India is no longer following the EV leaders, it's quietly rewriting the rules. And yet, the revolution isn't just economic or technological. It's cultural. For millions of Indians who once saw EVs as unattainable luxury items, the Tiago EV represents possibility, a step toward cleaner, smarter, and more sustainable mobility. The Tiago EV isn't just a car, it's a statement. For years, electric vehicles were seen as futuristic, expensive, and largely out of reach for the average person in India. Owning one was a dream reserved for the wealthy or tech enthusiasts. But Tata changed that narrative. Suddenly, millions of middle-class families, small business owners, and even farmers could imagine driving an EV. This shift goes beyond economics, it's psychological. When the price barrier disappears, adoption accelerates. People start believing that clean, sustainable mobility is possible, not just an aspiration. Children see electric cars in their neighborhoods, parents begin to trust in a greener future. Tata didn't just build a car, they built a bridge to the electric era for ordinary people. The impact ripples through the entire EV ecosystem. Increased demand encourages the development of charging infrastructure in small towns, sparks investment in local EV startups, and pushes competitors to rethink affordability. What was once a niche market is now growing into a mainstream movement. And on the global stage, this mindset shift is equally powerful. By proving that affordability and practicality can coexist with smart technology, India has forced international brands to reconsider their strategies. Luxury and technology are no longer the only paths to influence. Understanding the real needs of consumers and delivering practical solutions can be just as disruptive. In essence, Tata's Tiago EV is doing more than selling cars, it's reshaping attitudes, priorities, and expectations. It's teaching the world that the EV revolution isn't only about innovation at the top. Sometimes, the real breakthroughs happen when technology meets accessibility, right where people live and work. And this mindset revolution sets the stage for something even bigger, the question of India's future as a global EV powerhouse, which brings us to the final reflection. Building an affordable EV was only half the battle. The other half was making sure people could actually charge it. Without convenient charging stations, even the cheapest EV would struggle to gain trust. That's why India's charging infrastructure has been transforming rapidly alongside Tata's Tiago EV. Companies like Tata Power have invested heavily, installing fast chargers in metro cities and gradually expanding into smaller towns. The government has also been rolling out incentives for private players to set up stations along highways and in urban neighborhoods. This means a family in a Tier 2 or Tier 3 city no longer has to worry about running out of charge halfway home, a concern that kept many potential buyers away in the past. But it's not just the quantity of stations that matters, it's the quality and accessibility. Modern chargers support multiple vehicle types, fast charging and app-based management, making EV ownership much simpler. And this infrastructure growth feeds a positive loop. More stations encourage more people to buy EVs, which in turn encourages more investment in chargers. The Tiago EV is designed to take full advantage of this network. Its compact size and efficient battery make it ideal for urban and suburban driving, while regenerative braking and intelligent energy management extend each charge. In a country where long commutes and irregular power supply can be obstacles, Tata ensured that their EV could thrive within the reality of Indian roads. What's remarkable is that this revolution isn't just happening in big cities like Delhi or Mumbai. Even small towns, where middle-class families form the backbone of India's economy, are seeing a surge in charging stations. This means the EV movement is truly democratized, not limited to the elite or early adopters. And while Tata builds cars, the country is building a charging ecosystem that could become a model for other emerging markets, showing that affordable EVs need not be constrained by infrastructure, when planning is smart and investments are coordinated. The impact of the Tiago EV goes beyond affordability and convenience, it's also changing the air people breathe. Cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore have long struggled with smog, pollution, and rising health problems caused by fossil fuel vehicles. Every small, internal combustion car replaced by an electric vehicle is a step toward cleaner air and quieter streets. Imagine millions of middle-class families, small businesses, and delivery fleets switching from petrol or diesel to electric. The immediate effects are obvious: less smoke, less noise, and lower emissions. But the long-term benefits could be transformative. Lower pollution means healthier populations, fewer respiratory illnesses, and reduced healthcare costs. And in a country like India, where vehicle numbers are skyrocketing, even incremental change has massive consequences. The Tiago EV, with its efficient battery and low maintenance, encourages adoption in areas that traditionally lag behind in environmental consciousness. It's no longer just luxury EV owners driving the green agenda. Now the average Indian household can participate in the movement. And that cultural shift matters. When sustainability becomes accessible, it becomes a social norm rather than a niche trend. Moreover, electric vehicles like the Tiago reduce dependency on petrol imports, which also has environmental and economic implications. Less crude oil consumption means less fuel transport, fewer spills, and a smaller carbon footprint from extraction to tank. Tata's affordable EV isn't just a vehicle, it's a tool for systemic change, helping cities breathe easier while laying the groundwork for India's long-term sustainability goals. In other words, the Tiago EV is quietly reshaping urban life, one silent, smoke-free ride at a time. And as more people adopt EVs, India isn't just catching up with the world, it's setting new standards for practical, environmentally conscious mobility. The brilliance of the Tiago EV isn't just in its price or battery, it's in the way every detail was designed for India. Unlike imported EVs that are often engineered for smooth highways and predictable climates, the Tiago was built for potholes, monsoon rains, and the unpredictable chaos of Indian roads. Its compact size makes it easy to navigate narrow lanes, crowded streets, and tight parking spots, while the sturdy suspension absorbs shocks without compromising comfort. Tata engineers didn't just focus on looks, they focused on longevity and reliability. Every curve, every joint, every battery placement was tested with the harshest road conditions in mind. The Tiago EV also features multi-mode regenerative braking, converting momentum into battery energy whenever the driver slows down. This isn't just tech for the sake of tech, it increases range, saves energy, and reduces wear on braking components. Then there's the Ziptron powertrain, Tata's proprietary EV architecture, which balances efficiency, power, and durability while handling India's heat and humidity effortlessly. Even the interior design reflects a deep understanding of the user. Easy-to-use displays, intuitive controls, and climate management ensure comfort in both city traffic and longer commutes. The IP67 rated battery gives water and dust resistance, a critical feature in a country with diverse weather conditions. Every design choice tells a story. Tata didn't just want to make an affordable EV, they wanted to make one that feels at home on Indian roads. It's practical, reliable, and engineered with empathy. A rare combination in a global market often obsessed with features over functionality. The Tiago EV proves that smart design is sometimes more powerful than expensive innovation, and this philosophy might just redefine how the world thinks about practical electric vehicles. The Tiago EV's magic isn't just in technology, it's in the numbers. For the average Indian household, buying a car isn't just about the sticker price, it's about long-term affordability. Tata understood this better than anyone. By producing locally, sourcing parts from domestic suppliers, and leveraging government incentives under the FAME 2 scheme, Tata dramatically cut manufacturing costs. Every rupee saved in production translated into a lower retail price, bringing the car to just $9,600, a figure that felt impossible before. But affordability doesn't end with the purchase. Electric vehicles are inherently cheaper to maintain than traditional petrol or diesel cars. Fewer moving parts mean fewer repairs, while regenerative braking reduces wear and tear. For a middle-class family, this translates to significant savings on fuel and maintenance over the lifetime of the car. Financing also plays a crucial role. Tata partnered with banks and financial institutions to offer easy loans and EMI options, making it feasible for small business owners, farmers, and salaried employees to invest in EV ownership without stretching their budgets. Even the running costs reinforce the appeal. Electricity is far cheaper than petrol or diesel in India, and the Tiago's efficiency ensures maximum kilometers per charge. Over time, a family switching to an EV could save thousands of dollars annually, turning what once seemed like a luxury investment into a smart financial choice. Tata's approach shows that affordability isn't about compromise, it's about smart design, strategic manufacturing, and understanding the real needs of consumers. The Tiago EV proves that with the right combination of policy, production, and pricing, electric cars can truly become accessible to everyone. The launch of the Tiago EV didn't just shake India, it sent ripples across the global EV industry. Tesla, BYD, Hyundai, and other major players suddenly faced a new reality: affordability could no longer be an afterthought. For years, these companies had dominated emerging markets with premium EVs or vehicles priced out of reach for most consumers. Tata changed the game overnight. Tesla, which has long talked about a $25,000 Model 2, is still in the planning stage. BYD, known for its affordable models in China, struggles with import duties and assembly challenges when entering India, making their vehicles far more expensive for Indian buyers. Meanwhile, Hyundai and other global brands are scrambling to understand why a homegrown hatchback is capturing attention that their multi-thousand-dollar vehicles cannot. What Tata accomplished goes beyond pricing. It's a strategic understanding of the local market. Small, efficient, durable cars built for everyday needs, with locally sourced components and support networks. Global companies now face a crucial question: can they replicate this model, or will they be forced to adapt their entire strategy? Emerging markets around the world are watching closely. Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America share similar demographics: a growing middle class, tight budgets, and the need for practical, reliable vehicles. Tata's success proves that these markets can be served profitably, but only if manufacturers rethink their approach. In essence, Tata didn't just make a car, it changed the rules of the game. Global EV giants are learning that to succeed in these markets, innovation alone isn't enough. It must meet affordability, trust, and practicality head-on. And that's a lesson few were expecting from a humble hatchback built in India. The Tiago EV isn't just transforming India's roads, it's opening doors to the global stage. Middle-class consumers in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America face challenges similar to India's: rising fuel costs, limited infrastructure, and a need for practical, affordable vehicles. Tata's formula, cost-effective, reliable, and locally tailored EVs, is perfectly suited to these markets. For these countries, the Tiago EV could be more than just a car, it could be a gateway to electric mobility. Governments are already offering subsidies, tax benefits, and incentives for green vehicles, creating fertile ground for adoption. Affordable EVs like the Tiago can become the first sustainable vehicle option for millions, sparking both economic and environmental impact. From a business perspective, the Tiago's export potential is massive. Tata's focus on local production, simplified design, and scalability means that exporting units is feasible without massive additional investment. Smaller, emerging markets can receive vehicles at competitive prices, creating a new revenue stream and positioning India as a hub for global affordable EV exports. This isn't hypothetical. Tata's success domestically proves the model works. Once the Tiago EV reaches these international markets, it could redefine EV accessibility, forcing global giants to rethink pricing and strategy worldwide. India isn't just making cars for itself anymore, it's showing the world that affordable EV innovation can come from unexpected places. In short, the Tiago EV is not just a domestic revolution, it's India's ticket to global EV influence, demonstrating that affordability, practicality, and smart engineering can compete on the international stage. At first glance, the Tiago EV might look simple, compact, practical, and unassuming. But under the hood, it's a marvel of strategic engineering. Tata didn't need massive battery packs or flashy autonomous systems to make an impact. Instead, they focused on efficiency, durability, and user-centric design. The Tiago EV comes with two battery options, 19.2 kWh and 24 kWh. The smaller pack provides around 250 km of range, while the larger one stretches up to 315 km, ideal for daily city commutes and occasional longer trips. These lithium-ion batteries are IP67 rated, making them water and dust resistant, an essential feature for India's varied weather conditions. The heart of the car is Tata's Ziptron powertrain, designed for smooth acceleration, energy efficiency, and long-term reliability. Its 55 kilowatts motor can take the car from 0 to 60 km per hour in just 6 seconds, more than enough for city driving. And with multi-mode regenerative braking, every stop recycles energy back into the battery, extending the range without extra cost. Safety and usability weren't overlooked either. The Tiago EV features thermal management systems to protect the battery from overheating, hill hold assist for stop-and-go traffic, and a lightweight yet sturdy frame that balances efficiency with protection. Tata focused on technology that matters, rather than gimmicks, ensuring that every feature directly benefits the driver and the long-term ownership experience. What's remarkable is how Tata managed to pack all this technology into a car under $10,000. It's a lesson in smart prioritization. The Tiago EV proves that innovation isn't always about complexity. Sometimes, it's about designing the right technology for real-world needs. This careful engineering doesn't just make the car practical for India, it also gives Tata an edge as they look toward export markets, where reliability, affordability, and efficiency are just as crucial. Tata's Tiago EV didn't emerge in isolation. Behind this breakthrough lies a supportive policy environment that made affordable EVs viable in India. Programs like FAME2, faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles, provided incentives for manufacturers producing locally, directly lowering the retail price for consumers. But the support didn't stop there. The government's Make in India initiative and production-linked incentive (PLI) schemes encouraged companies to build complete EV ecosystems domestically, from battery assembly to motor production. These policies reduced dependence on expensive imports, simplified supply chains, and empowered Indian companies to innovate cost-effectively. As a result, Tata could focus on designing vehicles for Indian realities rather than worrying about global export costs or import duties. The government subsidies for buyers, combined with manufacturer incentives, created a perfect storm, an affordable high-quality EV that middle-class families could actually purchase and maintain. This policy-driven ecosystem is already influencing competitors. Foreign companies like Hyundai, Foxconn, and Stellantis are now considering India for local production of EV parts and battery cells, drawn by incentives and the growing domestic market. What started as domestic support has the potential to position India as a global EV hub, with production and innovation flowing outward to emerging markets worldwide. Ultimately, Tata's success with the Tiago EV shows how smart government policy, local manufacturing, and consumer-focused design can combine to create a new chapter in EV adoption. India isn't just following global trends, it's shaping them. The Tiago EV isn't just a technological or economic breakthrough, it's reshaping how people live and move. In cities and towns across India, electric vehicles are slowly becoming part of everyday life. Families that once considered EVs out of reach now have a practical option, while small business owners can reduce running costs for delivery fleets. For middle-class households, the Tiago EV offers more than transportation, it changes daily routines. Quieter streets, smoother commutes, and lower fuel expenses make life easier. Children see cleaner neighborhoods, parents save money, and communities benefit from reduced noise and air pollution. It's a small car with a big social footprint. The ripple effects extend to employment and skill development. Local EV manufacturing and charging infrastructure create new jobs, from assembly line technicians to service staff and battery specialists. These opportunities strengthen local economies while fostering a workforce ready for the global EV revolution. Ride-sharing, delivery services, and small logistics companies are also taking notice. Affordable EVs like the Tiago reduce operating costs, encouraging fleets to transition to electric. This not only cuts emissions but sets a precedent for other businesses to adopt sustainable practices, proving that profitability and environmental responsibility can coexist. In essence, the Tiago EV is doing more than selling cars, it's building a culture of electric mobility, where sustainability, cost efficiency, and convenience intersect. And this cultural shift is critical. It ensures that the EV revolution in India isn't just a trend, but a lasting transformation. The launch of the Tiago EV marks just the beginning of India's journey toward global EV leadership. The country has proven that it can make affordable, reliable electric cars for domestic use, but the bigger challenge lies ahead. Can India compete on the world stage? Tata has already set a strong example. By combining local manufacturing, smart design, and affordability, they've created a model that works in India, and potentially in other emerging markets. Countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America share the same needs: a growing middle class, tight budgets, and an appetite for sustainable transportation. Tata's approach could position India as a hub for EV exports, creating new opportunities for both industry and workforce development. But global competition is fierce. Tesla, BYD, and Hyundai aren't standing still. They bring technology, brand recognition, and capital to every market they enter. India's challenge will be to scale production, maintain quality, and innovate continuously, all while keeping costs low. Success will depend on leveraging domestic advantages, government incentives, skilled labor, and a growing EV ecosystem, while staying agile in the face of international competition. At the same time, infrastructure remains a critical piece of the puzzle. Expanding charging networks, securing battery supply chains, and investing in renewable energy sources are essential for sustainable growth. The Tiago EV has proven that innovation and affordability can coexist, but the long-term vision requires coordination across industry, government, and society. Ultimately, the Tiago EV is more than a car, it's a statement of intent. India has shown that it can think differently, act boldly, and challenge assumptions about what's possible in electric mobility. If this momentum continues, the country isn't just joining the global EV race, it could lead it, proving that smart strategy, local insight, and accessibility can compete with the biggest names in the world. The question is no longer whether India can produce EVs, the question is whether India will shape the future of mobility for the world. The story of the Tiago EV is not just about a $10,000 car. It's about vision, strategy, and bold thinking. Tata Motors didn't just build a vehicle, they created a movement that challenges global assumptions about who can lead in the electric vehicle industry. From the streets of India to the possibilities of Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia, the Tiago EV proves that affordable innovation can disrupt even the biggest global players. It shows that success isn't always about the largest battery pack, the most advanced autonomous system, or a premium price tag. Sometimes, it's about understanding real needs, building smart solutions, and making technology accessible to the masses. This car is shaping India's identity as more than a consumer of EVs. It's positioning the country as a global hub for manufacturing, innovation, and sustainable mobility. It's inspiring a cultural shift where clean, efficient transportation becomes a reality for millions, not just a dream for the elite. Tata's Tiago EV is a symbol of possibility, that a local company with thoughtful design, strategic planning, and relentless focus on affordability can not only transform its home market but also influence global trends. The bigger story isn't just the car, it's the revolution it represents. Affordable, practical, and sustainable electric mobility is no longer a vision for the future. In India, it has already arrived, and the world is watching. And if India continues on this path, the next decade might not just belong to Tesla or BYD, it could very well belong to the country that proved the real EV revolution starts with understanding people, not just technology.